Have you ever wondered why some students in your class get an A or 80% marks all the time, while others are still struggling to pass? Why this happens? Now, straight A students are not always more intelligent or bookworm, but they do work smarter. Knowing how to learn a subject easily and faster is very important. And what you need for this? Good memory skills. So today we are going to talk about memorization, which means good memory skills. Now, memory can be divided. If we talk about memory can be divided into two types: the short-term memory and the long-term memory. Anything we hear or see or feel, we remember it for a short period, usually for a few minutes or few hours. For example, when you listen to your teacher explaining some topic or question in the class, you feel you understand it very well. But when you try to recall it later, you have difficulty and you remember only some parts. Why this is so? This is because when you hear something for the first time, it goes to the brain and gets stored as short-term memory, which is what happens in the classroom. So when you hear your teacher in the classroom, you feel you have learnt it, as if you will remember it. But the fact is, by the time you reach your home in the evening, you will remember only 20% of what you heard in the classroom. So for remembering that information for a longer period, you have to memorize at certain intervals. For example, if you want to remember a topic which you learned that day in the class, naturally for exams later on, so what you need to do? You should revise and memorize that topic at these 4 intervals. So we call them that you should revise at 4 intervals. So you should revise on the same day after the class. So you can go home and then in the evening you should revise the topic. Then you should revise after 1 week. Then you should revise after 1 month. And after 3 months. By doing this way, by revising, memorizing your work learned in the class at these 4 intervals, revising on the same day, then revising after 1 week, then revising after 1 month, and revising after 3 months, you will transfer the newly learnt information from short-term memory to the long-term memory. And this is one of the very effective ways of keeping the information, all the knowledge for later use. Now comes the question, how to memorize? Now, to look into that, how to memorize? Because for long term, the word memory or memorization has been equated with rote learning. And many times I have heard students saying, the teacher, I can remember, I can understand the concept, but I cannot memorize. But to that I will say that if you are memorizing a thing in a proper way, then that is not rote learning. What's the difference in memorization and rote learning? That rote learning means when you are memorizing without attention. You're just reading something again and again, but without putting your attention into that. Now, how to do memorization? So that your knowledge from short-term memory is transferred to long-term memory, so that you can recall it in the exam and do well in your exam. Now, for that, we use the 4R method. So, for effective memorization, we use the 4R method. And what are these 4 R's? So, let me first write the 4 R's. The first one is called record. The second one is called recite. The third one is called reflect. And the fourth one is called review. These are the 4 R's. Now, what do these 4 R mean? So, let me explain to you one by one. The first R, which is record. Now, this means that you have to make your own long notes. Today we are not discussing how to take notes in the class and how to make your own notes. That we will discuss some other day. But what we are saying here is that if you really want to memorize a thing effectively, you need to take notes in the class. And then after that, you have to prepare your own notes. That's called recording. Record. Without recording, without having your own long notes in which you have written all the main points, details and examples, without that, hardly anything will stay in your brain for a long period of time. So therefore, this is very, very important step in this 4R method. So after you have your own long notes ready in which you have written all the details of the topic, you have all the relevant examples, then the next step is recite. What do you mean by that? When you were a small kindergarten student, then your teacher asked you to recite a poem. No, those Baba, Black Sheep, things like that. What I'm saying here is that now you have to recite your notes. So what do you have to do? Go to your room, close the door, take your notes in hands and recite them loudly. Speak them loudly. Why you need to do this? There are 2 benefits of reciting the notes loudly. One benefit is that you are totally focused. So you are reducing your distractions. Your mind is not going here and there. So you are reducing distractions. Otherwise, what happens many times that we are thinking, we are just reading mechanically some notes from the paper, but our mind is thinking what I'm going to do in the evening. Will my mother allow me to see the movie? Will she allow me to play computer games? All those things are going on in mind. So by reading it loudly with attention will allow to reduce your distractions. And the second advantage is, which is research has shown, that when you hear your voice, then it is like revising 2 times, because then the brain receives second time the signal, and then it is like although reading only 1 time, but then it is recorded in your brain as 2 times. So it is like 2 times benefit of revision, because your brain is hearing it now and it will give you double benefit. Now after you've done that, then you need to check how much you have memorized. What is the status now? So for that you do reflect. What do you do in reflect? Close your eyes and try to visualize what you have just learned and try to recall the main points. So in reflect, you try to recall the points. So what do? Close your eyes, and then, because just now you learned say 2 or 3 pages, and you had those 4 subheadings there. So try to recall. Yeah, there are 4 points, and under the point, these are the explanation, and this is what it means, and this is the logic. So all that you try to visualize, and see whether you can remember all those 4 points and all the 4 explanations properly. It's called reflecting your knowledge, reflecting on your knowledge. And after that, that will give you the idea how much you're able to recall. So that idea, that reflection will then lead to the fourth R, which is called review. After you have done reflection, then you will be able to see how much you were able to recall. If you're able to recall completely, excellent. But if you're not sure, you are stuck at some point, then you have to repeat all these 4 steps one more time. So therefore, then depending on the status, repeat the steps 1 to 4. Now, if you're following this 4R method and revise your notes at frequent intervals, just now I told you the 4 intervals, frequent intervals of the same day, you make your notes, then you revise them 1 week, then 1 month, and 3 months later, I'm sure you would have memorized most of the points and ready for exams anytime. Good luck for your memory and good luck for your exams.